गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भवानी शंकरौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरम्। Harihi Om. We will have the Namasmarana. Adishankara Atmajnanam Adishankara Atmajnanam आत्मज्ञानम नित्य निर्मल बोधस्वरूपम अपरशंकर अद्भुतरूपम प्रकृतितारक कैवल्यरूपम आदिशंकर आत्मज्ञानम नित्य निर्मल बोधस्वरूपम अपरशंकर अद्भुतरूपम प्रकृति तारक प्रकृति तारक कैवल्य रूपम कैवल्य रूपम विश्वभासक विश्वभासक परमात्म तेजम परमात्म तेजम मंगलप्रदमय मंगलप्रदमय कल्याणरूपम कल्याणरूपम मंगलप्रदमय मंगलप्रदमय कल्याणरूपम कल्याणरूपम शोकनिवारक शोकनिवारक आनंदभानम आनंदभानम मोक्षप्रेरक मोक्षप्रेरक शिक्षाविधानम शिक्षाविधानम विश्वभासक परमात्म तेजम मंगलप्रदमय कल्याणरूपम शोकनिवारक शोकनिवारक आनंदभानम आनंदभानम मोक्षप्रेरक मोक्षप्रेरक शिक्षाविधानम शिक्षाविधानम आदिशंकर आदिशंकर आत्मज्ञानम आत्मज्ञानम शंकर 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 मंगलनामम मंगलनामम शंकर 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 मंगलनामम मंगलनामम भवहर 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 कल्याणनामम कल्याणनामम भवहर 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 कल्याणनामम कल्याणनामम शंकर 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 मंगलनामम मंगलनामम शंकर 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 मंगलनामम मंगलनामम Slokas of invocation as rendered by Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji. Yasmin jnane bhavet sarvam vijñātam paramatmani तं वन्दे नित्यविज्ञानम् आनन्दमजमव्ययम् आनन्दमजमव्ययम् यदज्ञानादभूद्वैतम् ज्ञाते यस्मिन्निवर्तते रज्जुसर्पवदत्यन्तम् तं वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमम् तं वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमम् यस्योपदेशदीधित्या चिदात्मानः प्रकाशते चिदात्मानः प्रकाशते नमः सद्गुरवे तस्मै नमः सद्गुरवे तस्मै स्वाविद्याध्वान्तभानवे स्वाविद्याध्वान्तभानवे हरिः ओम। In order to reach a destination, just as there are many routes, many ways, many paths to reach that particular destination, similarly, there are many paths to reach the subjective realization of the Supreme Consciousness. Each mindset appreciates a particular type of path or practice or methodology or the route to reach the destination, which is subjective realization of the Supreme Consciousness. Amongst all these routes, it is said by a great Mahatma that one of such routes is a direct route. It is a direct route, and it is also said that this is the only practice that leads directly through the doorway. In this, there is nothing else to know, nothing to learn, nothing to remember, except knowing how to enter the doorway. Nothing else to learn. There are not too many things to learn. In each path, there are various things to learn. According to that particular path, they are very important, and without learning those things, no progress would ever happen. That is how it is being taught, and that is true as far as that viewpoint is concerned. But here, which is the direct pathway, there is not much to learn. There is no memorizing. There is no repeating. There is no much to remember. Not too many things to know. But the one method or practice how to enter the doorway has to be understood. And what is this procedure? The procedure is, it is merely necessary to focus. First point, to focus and to fix, not merely focus. First point, our mind generally is out of focus because it is going on and on to so many things, and on no single thing it stays steadily, not even for some period of time. It goes on shifting from thought to thought, object to object, feeling to feeling, emotion to emotion, experience to experience. It goes on shifting. Nowhere it stays steadily. Well, that is why here it is said, first thing is to focus. What we have to focus? The mind, attention of the mind, to make it more clear. Focus the mind or the attention of the mind. So this is a big achievement, because when the mind itself is out of focus, now to focus is very important. And not only focus, but to fix. Not merely focus, but fix that attention. Fix that mind there. And the second thing. And then try to contemplate. Upon that on which the mind is focused. The mind is fixed. Contemplate. A type of dharana, contemplation. And then, next thing, meditate. If we contemplate, meditation becomes easy. In contemplation, I am aware of that upon which I am contemplating. And then I meditate. In that meditation, the one who is attempting to meditate may go out of focus, and upon which or upon whom the meditation is being done might only be in focus. Anyway, in our day-to-day experiences also, we forget ourselves whenever we are too much identified with anything. There is no big deal that we can't achieve this state when we are meditating. When we are lost in the worldly things, when we are fascinated, when we are tempted, when we are attracted, when we are pulled, anyway we forget ourselves. Whatever limited individuality we identify with, we are lost. Suddenly we are not aware also. After some time we suddenly become, oh. Like when we watch a movie, we are lost. We don't know who is watching the movie also. But in meditation this has to happen. So that will happen anyway. So the focus, first thing, fixing is second thing, contemplating is third thing, meditating is the fourth thing. The fifth thing, look at it. In meditation, look at it. Because in meditation also there is the possibility of we look at so many things because of purva vasanas and samskaras which are very strict, which are very deep, very thick. We keep on repeating. The people who go into advanced stages of meditation also sometimes do fall. Even though they don't want to, but they fall. Meaning they get distracted. That is why look at it. Not see it, look at it, meaning very clear now. Looking at what? We are looking at so many things. But look at that upon which or upon whom meditation is being done and about which contemplation was done, is being done, and upon whom the fixing had been done, focus had been maintained. So focus, fixing, contemplating, meditating and looking at it. And then what we have to do? Then comes this procedure, the next stage in that process, realize. What realize? What is there to realize? Realize that the substrate or the substratum and the source of existence, the substratum and the source of existence, they are not two different things. That which is the substratum is the source of existence. So to realize that the substratum and the source of existence, that means by this time we might have understood focusing on what? Focusing on that very substrate, that very substratum. The subjectivity, the radical subjectivity. Radical meaning from the root, from the origin, from the source, right into the source. The source of all subjectivity. That is what is radical subjectivity. So to realize that the substrate or substratum and the source of existence is the radical subjectivity of the presence of God as light of consciousness. Very important. Realize the substrate or substratum. It can be called as substrate or substratum and the source of existence as the presence of God. The subjectivity, radical subjectivity of the presence of God as the light of consciousness. The presence of God is realized as the light of consciousness. But where is this presence of God? As what? As the radical subjectivity. Where? In everything, including ourselves. Wherever we are focusing, because we are talking about meditation and contemplation, let us understand that we are focusing inside. Inside there are so many things. Focus on what? Fix the mind where? Contemplate upon what? Meditate on what? Look at what? Realize what? So in the last sentence, focus, fix, contemplate, meditate, look at and realize what? That the substratum and the source of existence is the radical subjectivity of the presence of God as the light of consciousness. Inside us is this light of consciousness. Inside us is the presence of God as the radical subjectivity. Our own subjectivity. It is that subjectivity. So we have to focus. That is why it is said as it is actually one direct route to the self, which leads us directly through the doorway. Nothing else to be done. We need to concentrate upon this subjectivity. And this subjectivity is devoid of all content. The whole world, everywhere, everything is filled with the content, full of content. That is why our mind also filled with content. But in this subjectivity, no content. There is no content. Except that subjectivity, there is nothing else. No subject-object relationship there. That illusion of subject and object also is not there. There is only this radical subjectivity. And there, without any labeling, we need to look at it. Sometimes, because it is not always possible for us to focus on that radical subjectivity inside us, we need to do various other things also. We need to move around, we need to interact, we need to play our part, do our job, take care of our profession. We cannot sit like that, always focused on that innermost radical subjectivity. So we need to open our eyes and then interact in the world and move around and go about also. Then also, it is beautifully said, whatever we see, wherever we see, whenever we see, whichever we see, if we want to contact this radical subjectivity, in that in which we see, we have to stop one thing, stop labeling. Because the moment we see something, recognize something, notice something, whether we know it or not, we label it. This had been the habit. That is how it continues. We label it into various categories. We attribute so many qualities. We pass so many remarks. We attach all these labels. So, first thing what we have to do is stop that labeling and then note that at all times, in every moment, in every instance, in every circumstance, there is always present this ultimate, irreducible, underlying substratum of subjectivity. In every instant, in every moment, at all times, in every circumstance, there is always present this ultimately irreducible underlying substrate or substratum of subjectivity. In everything, whatever we see with open eyes, wherever we move around, whatever place it might be, whatever object it might be, whatever thing it might be, whatever time it might be, wherever we are, whatever we are interacting with, there is this underlying substratum of subjectivity. Everything, in everything. So we cannot escape from it if we have that intention to locate it, to recognize it, to focus on it. Whether with closed eyes or open eyes, it doesn't matter. Even when we look at the world also, if we look for the presence of this subjectivity, we do recognize it. When we stop labeling it, everywhere, at all times, at all places, in everything it is there. Just as we recognize it inside by focusing, fixing, contemplating, meditating, looking at and realizing this radical subjectivity, which we understand as the presence of God as the light of consciousness. Same thing is there outside also, in everything. We need to understand that. When we look at a form, we already have a name and then we attach a label. That is why it is said, stop labeling means stop this process, a mechanical process of getting confined to that name and form and character and mannerism, so on and so forth. Our total attention of the mind is on what? Is on a shape, is on a size, is on the structure, is on the content, is on the nature, is on the mannerism. We talk about so many things, about everything. About each single thing we tell so many things. We talk too much. We think too much. We label too much. Without labeling, we cannot stop. Swami Tapobanji Maharaj used to see this. Used to be in this, inside, outside. Wherever he is in the Himalayas, whatever he is coming across, whether the animals or trees or the nature or mountains or valleys or people, he used to be with that substratum. Recognize that substratum, that subjectivity, which is the source of existence. Here we understand as the presence of God, as the light of consciousness, which illumines everything, outside, inside. That is why it is called as the direct doorway. Because there is inside and there is outside. And I don't think there is any other side. Even though you want to take side, there is no other side. Mind always takes us for a ride, and then when we go out, there are so many sides. Of course, there are 10 directions. But in whatever direction, whatever circumstance, every moment, every instant, there is the presence of this subjectivity. So all that we need is to locate it, recognize it, focus on it, understand it. When you look at a person, the nature of a person, character of a person, mannerism of a person, intention of a person, purity of a person, impurity of a person, so many things we focus at. Forget about all that. There is the presence of the subjectivity. There is. Without that, nothing exists in the world. No single object exists. Nothing exists. Not even microparticle exists. Even nothingness cannot exist without this subjectivity. So what more do we need? Where we cannot be with that subjectivity. Inside, outside, every side it is there. And this subjectivity never changes so that we can not recognize it. People with whom we are related also, they change. You look at a person after a few years, there is so much of change. The face changes, hairstyle changes, if hair remains. So many things are there. So many changes will be there. Color changes. Of course, character might change. And then even in our regular relationships also, intentions change. Likes and dislikes change. For and against, these things will change. A friend becomes enemy, enemy becomes friend, near becomes far, far becomes near, close becomes closed, closed becomes open. All these things are there in life, we are seeing in people. But instead of all that, if you look at this subjectivity, we are there. And this is called as the absolute subjectivity of all experiencing. Whatever we are experiencing, anger we are experiencing, frustration we are experiencing, hatred we are experiencing, and justifying always. Our mind has got a peculiar mechanism to justify whatever we experience. If we see something bad in the other, we justify and then we continue to experience it. And we think we are the greatest judges. Nobody appointed us, but we appoint ourselves. That is the play of the ego, trick of the ego, game of the ego, which had been playing since birth, since the beginning. So instead of all that, if we set aside all these things and merely recognize the subjectivity, that is why this process, directly we can't focus on it, it's a process. Whatever we are experiencing, instead of identifying with that which we are experiencing, you can go into that subjectivity. Anger we are experiencing, frustration, why remain there? Go deep into it. Go behind that. Go beneath that. Go underneath that. Then we come to this. What is that energy which is becoming this emotion? What is that feeling which generated those thoughts and together they are disturbing us, distracting us. Go beneath that thought, go behind that feeling, go underneath that emotion. Then we will find there is energy. Go behind that energy. There is this source, that subjectivity, out of which the energy also manifests. The light of consciousness which illumines every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every outburst, every vritti, every thought pattern. Everything is illumined by this light of consciousness. And this is what is called as presence of God. Presence of God is not only outside in a temple, but inside in our own temple also it is there. That doesn't mean we have to neglect outside. And when we become too much obsessed with outside, that doesn't mean you have to ignore inside. Both have their own importance, their own glory, their own greatness. When we forget, refuse to recognize this, then our divinely mannerism is no more occurring to us. Because we lose the sight of divinity, either inside or outside. Inside, desire is there, emotion is there, something has arisen, some vasana, some samskara, we get justification, we identify with it, lost the track of that divinity inside. Outside we see, this fellow is like that fellow is like that, he is not listening to me, she is not following, goes on. This nonsense goes on with everybody everywhere. And then we forget that. Then finally what? All outer, superficial, illusory, non-existent, imaginary, deluding layers, we focus. We focus on this thing. And then we are misled. And we mislead others also. Because we are not happy. How can that I only am misled? I mislead you also. So whatever you are not experiencing, I will pollute your mind and make you also experience. Because I am not satisfied with myself. How can you be satisfied with yourself? Until unless you get dissatisfied with yourself, I will not be happy. So I will come and tell you, how can you be comfortable with yourself or comfortable with other person? Other person is not good. Then you are disturbed, then I am comfortable. Okay, thank you. You are also in my category now. This is what is groupism. This is what is dussanga in name of satsanga. This is what people do. In study group, they have groupism. They come to study, and that is a group, and groupism. This is what happens. That is why we have dealt with this process, the technique. The procedure we have understood, and there is one technique associated with it. In the talks, in the satsang connected with all full nothingness, which we conducted on Dasasloki of Adi Shankara, if you can contact the counter, they will tell you what talks they are, all full nothingness. In that, elaborately we dealt with this technique. In a nutshell, I am going to tell now. No need to repeat the whole process. Simple, how to reach that subjectivity. Another small technique. First step, awareness of content. Second step, awareness of being conscious of the content, meaning the one who is conscious of the content. Awareness of content, first step. Awareness of being conscious, second step. And awareness of awareness, third and final step. It can start with any content. Content is always there. Abundant is the content in our mind. Abundant. So the content is anyway there. What type of content doesn't matter about it. Don't bother about it. What content is that doesn't matter. Content is there. So when the content is there, aware of the content. So from content we have shifted to this one who is aware. And that one who is aware is trying to be conscious of the content. So now second step is aware of being conscious. No question of content anymore, aware of being conscious. And then from there, awareness of awareness, which is the light of divinity, which is that illumining principle. Awareness of awareness. This is the procedure. That is what was explained till now. So, when Adi Shankaracharya ji, we have seen the story yesterday, met Hastamalaka in the village called as Sribali near Mookambika temple. Adi Shankaracharya ji knew the moment that boy prostrated to Adi Shankaracharya ji and did not get up immediately. Because he didn't feel like getting up only. Because everywhere, everybody was not in contact with that subjectivity, even though subjectivity was there inside them. But here he came across this great master, Adi Shankaracharya ji, who is only reveling in that subjectivity, one's own divinity. So he felt like prostrating, he did not get up only. And Adi Shankaracharya ji also knew the moment he prostrated, this boy has understood the presence of God as a subjective self in him. He is understood. The moment the contact was there, Adi Shankaracharya ji understood. But he had to give respect to the transactional thing. Father is complaining about the boy. He is not studying. No alphabets also he doesn't know. I am a person who is well versed in Vedas. This fellow doesn't know Veda only, my son. And how can I teach him? This fellow doesn't know alphabets only. Then how can I teach him Veda? When his friends call him to play, he doesn't go. When they beat him, he doesn't bother. When you beat him only, he doesn't bother. You scold him, he never bothers only. No time waste. You scold him, you enjoy, you do whatever you want to do. I will do what I want to do. That is the nature of He is always seeing the subjectivity. Even when that fellow is scolding also, he doesn't see the fellow who is scolding. No words are seen. No thought formation is seen. No emotional outburst is seen. No negativity is seen. No character defect seen. No bad intention seen, which we always see. And the sea of that is available always, which we see and never tired of seeing also. So, he doesn't see all that. He saw the subjectivity. Anybody scolding, subjectivity. Anybody beating, subjectivity. Inside himself, subjective. So, when he is seeing the subjectivity inside himself also, when those people are scolding him, they don't reach his mind because he is not even seeing the mind. They don't reach his ego, which is generally reacting. But he is not nowhere connected with that. So, inside also. Outside also he is not seeing that ego in them. He is seeing only subjectivity. Inside he is seeing subjectivity. Inside also divinity, outside also divinity. So where is the question of he responding to the normal worldly transactional way? Learning, what learning? Ultimately learning ends where? He has already learnt that. Abhi kya padhna hai? You sit A for A, this B for B, C for D. What is all this? You already know what is to be known. So the Hastamalaka knows what is to be known. So what is there to learn? Go and play for what? For recreation. For what? For relief. What relief? He is relieved from all those things long ago because he already attained. Abhi kya relief? Abhi kya play? He knows from there that the subjective manifestation, the whole world is a play from that standpoint. Abhi kya khelna hai? Father complains, my son is not playing. He says, what play? Play is going on. Abhi kya play usme? When you can watch the whole play of the creation, abhi what you want to get into and play? The boy thinks I played enough in all the earlier births. बहुत खेला मैं. अभी क्या खेलना है? अभी खिलाते सो वाले के साथ बैठ गए. The one who makes everybody play is sitting with him and watching the fun. अभी क्या खेलो? He knows he himself is a खिलौना. अभी क्या खेलना? सब खिलौनों को खिलाने वाले के पास बैठ गया उन्हें. So that is why, see, this Hastamalaka is in such a state, even 7-year-old boy who met Adi Shankaracharya ji. He is with that subjectivity. He is there, that's all. He knows that divinity in himself, outside himself, with open eyes, with closed eyes. That is why he is not responding like a worldly person, not reacting, not suffering the pain, not trying to run for profit, no favoritism, no opposition, only peace, only silence. He doesn't even talk. क्या करना बात करके? Why start talking? And he remembers all his previous births. You started talking, a big relationship gets established. Then afterwards, you have to end up in shouting, fighting. Start with talking. Shuru kyun kare? Why unnecessarily begin this? So he is quiet in himself. Why do you talk? You want to gain something or get rid of something. That is all, That is the main purpose. Why do we talk? And some are experts in talking. Never-ending talking. This boy has nothing to gain also, not to get rid of also. He knows what he is. He knows what others are. What a beautiful state. What a beautiful thing. Father doesn't know. But Adi Shankaracharya ji knows. The moment he looked at the boy, he understood. This boy is the boy. He is where he has to be. He is attained. Finished. And we knew the story also yesterday in detail. So then, Adi Shankaracharya ji, for the sake of transaction, so that the father will come to know, so that others will come to know. He knows what he has to know, but others have to know what they don't know. And there is a way for them to know. That is why he creates that platform there. That is why he asked. We chanted this sloka also yesterday. Kastvam sishokasya kutosi ganta kim namate tvam kuta agatosi etanmayoktam vadacharbhakatvam matpritaye priti vivardhanosi. Kastvam sishokasya kutosi ganta kim namate tvam kuta agatosi. Hey Sisho, Kaha Tvam, who are you? Kasya, whose child are you? Kutaha Asi Ganta, where are you going? Kim Namate, what is your name? Tvam Kutaha Agataha Asi, from where are you coming? Or from where have you come? And then he continued further saying, etanmayoktam vadacharbhakatvam matpritaye priti vivardhanosi matpritaye priti vivardhanosi. Hey Arbhaka, O young man, O child, tvam maya yad uktam etad matpritaye vadacha. Please tell me what I have asked you for the sake of my love. Matpritaye priti vivardhanosi. Priti vivardhanaha asi. Since you ever increase my love for you. Out of love you tell me whatever I have asked. I did ask in love only. Because my love for you ever increases. Normally the love for others will arise only when we have something according to our likes or dislikes. But here, this love is connected with this self, Ananda. Yesterday we saw the explanation for this sloka also. The Atmananda. Love means that Atmananda. For the sake of that Atmananda, what else is the purpose? Yesterday we have already seen, there is no motive, there is no purpose, there is no goal for the one who has attained that level of awareness. For that awareness itself, which is the reflecting surface of consciousness, there is no purpose, there is no goal. It is already that. What it can be, what it is supposed to be, what it has to be. It is what it is. That is divinity. What more goal you want to attribute to it? That is why you go and ask Parameshwara, what are you doing? He says, there is nothing for me to do. What is there to do? Who is the doer here? There is no doer only. You are asking whom? Where is the doer? In spite of all doing, go and ask Narayana. He will tell, I am just resting on Adishesha in the Milky Ocean. See, externally, resting on Adishesha in Milky Ocean, and Lakshmi Devi is pressing the feet. It looks the most laziest guy around. Internally, it is that highest level of that divinity, where nothing needs to be done. What is there to be done? Everything is managed. is that what alone is that divinity. अभी करना क्या है? Karna and other things all from standpoint of creation. In order to make us understand that subjectivity of the divinity, it is portrayed that way. He is resting. And then look at Paramashiva meditating. Both dancing also, meditating also. और इसके अलावा कुछ करे जैसे दिखता ही नहीं हो. Because what else? You are already that. That is what is the subjectivity. So, in order to bring out that beauty from that boy, Adi Shankaracharya ji posed these questions. And then he also, this boy, replies. Hastamalaka uvacha Naham manushyo Nacha deva yakshau Naham manushyo Nacha deva yakshau Na brahmana kshatriya Vaishya Sudraha Na Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya Sudraha Na Brahmachari Na Grihi Vanastho Na Brahmachari Na Grihi Vanastho भिक्षुर्न चाहम निजबोधरूपः भिक्षुर्न चाहम निजबोधरूपः निजबोधरूपः. If you inquire somebody like that, if that person starts saying Naham manushyo and stops there, I am not a human being and stop there, we may run away from that place. Because immediately, because of our past impressions and vasanas and negative experiences, immediately we think this must be a devil. If it is not a human being, must be a bhuta, preta, pishacha. Immediately we think like that. Naham manushyo. And probably in order to make people avoid all that thinking, even everything else, see this beauty of this answer. He says, Naham manushyo. I am neither a human being. Naham manushyo nacha deva yakshau. If I am not a human being, don't think I am a god. Devatas, devas, I am not even deva. Not even yaksha. Na brahmana kshatriya vaishya sudraha. I am not a brahmana. Okay, then kshatriya, not a kshatriya. Oh, then vaishya, not a vaishya. Oh, then shudra, not even a shudra. Na brahmachari, na grihi vanasto. I am not a brahmachari, celibate. I am not a married person. I am not a person who is dwelling in the forest. Vanaprastha, nor even I am a sannyasi. Bhikshurna chaham nijabodharupaha. I am pure awareness alone. This is the answer. Abhi kya bolna hai? From where you have come, where you are going, whose child are you, what is your name? One stroke answer. I am pure awareness. Abhi kya पूछना है? प्योर अवेयरनेस किसका बेटा, क्या करना है, कहां जाने का है, कहां वो नहीं है, कहां वो नहीं है जाने के लिए. You and I came here because we were not there before, and we will go from here because, of course, they will not allow us to stay here, of course, and we also don't want to stay also. We can't stay also. We will also go because we are not there where we are supposed to go. That is why coming and going. Where it can come, where it can go. That which is awareness, all pervading awareness, where it can go, where it can come, which is everywhere. how it is born, it is always there. So that is why, in order to make this boy bring out all these beautiful answers, Adi Shankaracharya ji created that platform. That is why those questions. कहाँ से आया, कहाँ जा रहा है, ना जाने का है ना आने का है, that is the answer. कहाँ जा सकूंगा, कहाँ से आऊंगा, मैं कौन हूं आने के लिए जाने के लिए. Always I am pure awareness. That is the beauty of the answer. Whose child are you? When is the birth for me? What are you talking? You are talking about the body? You asked me who are you? I am telling I am awareness. No need to answer other things. One answer, everything is answered. Not that Adi Shankaracharya ji does not know, but we have to know, no? We should know. Otherwise, why Adi Shankaracharya ji writes Bhashya on this, if it is a mere casual talking, interaction? The moment he decided to write Bhashya means Hastamalakacharya Nimitti Kurutya, he wants to teach all of us. Like Bhagavan Sri Krishna made Arjuna as Nimitta and then taught all of us. Like Vasishtha Maharshi made Rama as Nimitta and taught all of us, taught everybody around. So here also he is Nimitta and then he wants to teach everybody. Depending on the question, the answer will be. He created that, facilitated that platform where this answer only will come out, because this boy can only speak that way. Who has not spoken, who is not interested in speaking, he speaks, I am pure awareness. Let us see. Bhikshurna chaham nijabodha rupaha. I am not the bhikshu, meaning a sannyasi. Generally it is said, according to the tradition, that a sannyasi has to seek bhiksha. They don't call it as breakfast, lunch, dinner, this, that, partying and all that. Bhiksha. Meaning it is the bhiksha. That is what one has to seek. And there is a bhiksha mantra also. You have to chant that mantra and then take the bhiksha. That is why even when Puja Guruji and other great masters come, we call bhiksha. Even though people understand it was only as breakfast, lunch and dinner, it is bhiksha. So, a sannyasi means one who has to seek only bhiksha, also means should not utilize the fire for cooking. Whatever others are cooking, if they want to give, they will give. And whatever they give, you eat. That is what is bhiksha means. So here, very nicely it is being said, there is no question of burning of the fire. Sannyasi means there is no need to get into that burning of the fire. Completely out of all that karma. So here it is said, Bhikshurna chaham, an inner meaning here is, I am that bhikshu, without burning the fire, I have burnt away the sanchitta karma and agami karma. All the past karmas, all the future karmas. Only prarabdha has to be fulfilled, so it is going on. That is all it is. Bhikshurna chaham, I am not a sannyasi. Meaning what? I have burnt away all the karmas, except prarabdha. Even for a jivan mukta, the prarabdha continues. As long as it has to be there, it will be there. So, sanchitta karma is gone, burnt away. Agami karma is gone, burnt away. That is what he means. Bhikshurna chaham nijabodha rupaha. Nijabodha rupaha. I am pure, self-effulgent, ever-existing self-awareness. What type of self-awareness? Ever-existing self-awareness. What type of ever-existing? Self-effulgent. And what is this? Pure, self-effulgent, ever-existing self-awareness. That is what is meant by Nijabodha Rupaha. Pure, self-effulgent. It is not illumined by anything. It is self-luminous. It illumines everything else. Nothing else can illuminate. It itself is the source of light. Pure. Because it is the source of light, it is pure. It is absolute purity. pure, self-effulgent, ever existing, not once in a while existing, depending on power cuts, depending on exhaustible energy resources. No, it is inexhaustible. So pure, self-effulgent, ever-existing, self-awareness. Bhikshurna chaham nijabodha rupaha. We'll take up the first one. Naham manushyo. I am not the body. He said, I am not the body. Meaning what? I am the Supreme Self in the body. Within the body, outside the body, there is the presence of the Supreme Self. I am the Supreme Self. Atmaham naiva dehoham, shivoham na shavaha kada. I am that Atma, not the body. I am that Shiva. If the Shiva departs, the body becomes Shava. That Shiva. So I am that Atma. So that is what he meant. Naham manushyo. Generally, people are identified with anatma. What is not self? Body is not self. Body is an upadhi. That is why I say I am the body. But here he is not identified with those anatma dharmas. He knows he is atma dharma and he is with that atma. So that is why he said, Naham manushyo. I am not the body. I am that Supreme Self. Inside the body, outside the body, everywhere. Naham manushyo nacha deva yakshau. I am not even Indra, which people aspire for, doing so many yagnas, yagas, kratus. Why they want to attain heaven. And after attaining heaven, same heaven, how many times we attain? Attain the throne of the God of heaven. That's why Indra is dislodged from power time and again. After going to heaven, then again same mind, no? कुर्सी के ऊपर दृष्टि जाता थोड़े दिन के बाद. वो कुर्सी पे कौन बैठा, हटाओ उसको. So that also. So he doesn't want to be Indra also. Not Varuna, Yama, nobody. Not Ashtadikpalakas, nobody. No Devatas. I am not that. Naham manushyo najadeva yakshau. Because he says, their existence of Indra, Yama, Varuna, Agni, their existence depends on me only. Who am I? I am that pure awareness, Nijabodha Rupaha. On this Nijabodha Rupaha only their existence depends. All these gods and yakshas, they depend on this Nijabodha Rupaha. Even Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara also are a part of my consciousness. I am the source of the world and the source of the Lord of the world. I am that very source. I am that very substratum. I am that very subjectivity. I am that. So how can I be Yaksha, Deva, Kinnara, Kimpursha, Gandharva, Ityadi? I cannot be anybody. Naham manushyo nacha deva yakshau. I am not anybody. I am that source of the existence. All these devas, yakshas, Gandharvas, all of them depend upon this existence only, that source only. I am that very source. Na brahmana kshatriya vaishya sudra. A brahmana, what is that in a brahmana which is appreciated, recognized, which is valued, which is precious, which makes a brahmana a brahmana? What is that? It is the splendor of the self. The splendor, the shining of the self. If that shining is not there of the self, if selfish is there, a brahmana is no brahmana only. So, that Sat Chit, the Sat and the Chit, the splendor of Sat and Chit is that which shines in a brahmana. The light, which is the light of all lights. More it manifests, more it will do good to oneself and good to others. That is why a real brahmana teaches, connected with the source of knowledge, because the purity is there. But we are not going to think about the barriers. Who is Brahmana, who is Kshatriya, who is Vaishya, who is Shudra, and then disintegrate the society and divide in an unhealthy way, and then get obsessed with these divisions and create infighting and then create split and then make other religions come and then take advantage and then create more infighting and create more enemies. We are not going to be obsessed with all that. Unless and until it is understood properly, the proper frame and sense of mind, it will only create more problem. Let us have this vision, what the boy has. What is that in a Brahmana which is to be respected? The splendor of the self, which is Sat and Chit, which is the light. And that light is the light of all lights. That is what is the light. I am not a Brahmana, I am that light. I am that splendor of the self, which is the originality there. I am that splendor of the self. I am not a Brahmana externally. I am that self, light of the self, splendor of the self, Satchit. I am not even Kshatriya. What is that Kshatriya is? Why the Kshatriya is playing that role? Because Kshatriya is a warrior. Warrior for what? To fight with everybody as one likes? Protecting the dharma of the society, of the social beings, of everybody. For the sake of protecting the dharma of everybody, he will fight, ready to sacrifice the life also. That is why Mahabharata war is a dharma yuddha. Kurukshetra is the dharma kshetra. Pandavas represented dharma. Krishna supported them because dharma. So that is why it is very clearly understood the quality in a Kshatriya, warrior-like quality is dharma protecting quality. So he says, na Brahmana Kshatriya, na Kshatriya, meaning what? Not a Kshatriya. I am that dharma protecting quality in the Kshatriya. Because of what? Because of which a Kshatriya is a Kshatriya. And that quality rises only from the self, where the God only has decided that this has to manifest in this particular category this much. Na Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya. I am not a Vaishya. Actually, the Atma Sampada in a Vaishya. I am that. The wealth of self in a Vaishya. Vaishya is main duty is to create the wealth and then deal with that wealth. But here what is he doing? What is he saying? I am that wealth, Atma Sampada. That is the wealthiest thing. That is the greatest wealth. I am that Atma Sampada in the Vaishya. Na Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya Shudra. Shudra, low. I am not even that low. And Hastamarga says, see below the low. See below that low. What is there? Substratum. I am the substratum. I am that substratum. Don't stop there low. You see below. What is there? That is substratum. I am the substratum in the Shudra. And which is the substratum for everything. That is why he said, na Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya Shudra. I am that substratum for all. Na Brahmachari, na Grihi Vanastho, na Brahmachari. A Brahmachari has to maintain certain principles and then certain discipline and certain controls, certain practices and certain things, abstain from certain things, celibacy, refrain from involvement with the opposite sex, so on and so forth. So many things are there for a Brahmachari. But he says, I am not a Brahmachari. Means there is no more that is a woman, this is a man. So this division, that division. I am not even that. I am the bliss in both a man and a woman. I am that Ananda in a man and a woman. That is why he says, na Brahmachari. Otherwise, the Brahmachari is asked to refrain from certain things, practice certain things. And then there is a division. He says, what division? What are you talking about? I am that bliss in man and a bliss in woman. And then still further, it is very beautifully said, in the commentary of Swami Purushottamananji on this book, which is available at the counter, you will notice this point, that he has taken it from the Eknathji Maharaj's commentary, and it is very beautifully said that when he said this, there is also an example taken. There is a wall, and then on the wall there is painting of various pictures, and that man also is there, woman also is there, everything is there. So, man is a man, woman is a woman, and people are people, objects are objects, nature is nature, mountain is a mountain, everything is there on the wall, big painting. But finally, all that painting is unreal, wall is real in comparison with that. Wall is real. You can wipe clean the paint and draw another painting as long as the wall is intact. Wall is real, painting is unreal. Same thing we apply. Names and forms. What is there in the painting? Name and form. Shape and size. What is there in the world? Name and form. So what is the wall for these names and forms? The substratum. So substratum is real, names and forms are unreal. The fellow is with substratum, which is real. What names and forms can tempt, attract, why he has to refrain, why he has to maintain something? What is there? What is the new point? Na brahmachari. Na grihi. He is not even a grihastha. A grihastha is the one who is always attached to gruha, vastu in the gruha, vyaktis in the gruha, dealings with the gruha. But he says, I am not attached to house, things in the house, objects, people, relatives, nobody. Because I am the witness in all these things. I am that Sakshi in all these things. Not only that, I am the Sakshi of Jagradavastha, Swapnavastha, Sushuptyavastha. That is why I am not a Grihasthi. I am not even a Vanaprasthi. The very forest depends upon the existence to exist. I am that existence on which the forest depends. I am not the one who is depending on forest to exist. Please understand, Vanaprasthi is depending on the forest to exist. Because to move away from the society, stay in the forest and contemplate upon God and then clear all the negative karmas which you have done and focus more on punya and aim for a better birth next time. All this is the duty of Vanaprasthi. So depending upon forest. But he says, I am that existence on whom a forest depends. And not a Vanaprasthi. Always he is talking only about the substratum. Naham manushyo na cha deva yakshau na brahmana kshatriya vaishya shudraha na brahmachari na grihi vanastho bhikshur na chaham nijabodha rupaha. Once a case came up before a judge. Two men were arrested for vagrancy. Vagrancy means the crime of living on the streets and begging. In certain countries it is not allowed. Living on streets and begging. That is called as vagrancy. So two men were arrested and they were produced before the judge. And the judge asked the first person, where do you live? And that man immediately spreads his hands widely and then says, everywhere. The streams, the mountains, the valleys, the peaks, the forests, the fields, the meadows, the beaches, everywhere. That is his address. And then he looked at the second person and said, where do you live? And that man says, next door to him. Next door to whom? Next door to this fellow, whose house is streams, valleys, mountains, peaks, fields, meadows. Now what can judge do now? Kya proceed? How to proceed now? So, the one who is with the substratum is with all these things, all times. The whole majesty and glory of the nature is a product of the substratum. Why will the person who is already the substratum want to gain something from the nature? Want to acquire something from the nature? Or want to run away from nature? Want to get rid of something in the nature? Want to disown something in this creation, in this Prakriti? Want to own something? He doesn't want to own something, doesn't want to disown something. Because he knows the whole Prakriti depends upon the substratum. So where is the question of wanting anything, not wanting anything? This man, Mr. Badri, asked his wife on their wedding night, told his wife on their wedding night, after the wedding, the night after the wedding, darling, I don't want to hide anything from you. I don't want to hide anything from you. I want to tell something about myself. I was a real avara, vagabond, avara. Avara hoon, like that. Real avara, vagabond. Before I married you, I was an avara. Bekar. I see घूमते रहना. I see लाटोरी करते रहना. Avara. I am a vagabond, avara. Before I married you. I don't want to hide this. That's why I am telling you. And then the bride says, because he asked, what about you? He told about himself and asked, what about you? I am an avara, what about you? And she says, you don't know about my father. You don't know. My father. He did thorough research about the matching of horoscopes. Only when I understood that the horoscopes match perfectly, he married me to you. Meaning what? ये और एक आवारा है. That is all it is. What else? Whatever attitude we have, intention we have, it reflects in the minds of the others. They also will respond accordingly. This is the secret. Only for our convenience we throw the blame, but actually it is like this. The change can happen only when I change in myself. This lady called Vanaja took 2-year-old child to the clinic. Their family doctor, regularly they visit that clinic. So she took and then asked the doctor, doctor, please weigh him, the 2-year-old child, weigh him. The doctor said, our children weighing machine is temporarily out of order. Oh, Vanaja, children weighing machine is temporarily out of order. So, general weighing machine is there. So, what you have to do, hold your child and then stand on the weighing machine. Hold your child and stand on the weighing machine. Then, leave the child and then stand on the weighing machine. Then, your weight will be subtracted from the cumulative weight, then the weight of the child will be known. Weight of your child will be known. Simple mathematics. Hold the child and stand on the weighing machine. Then leave the child and stand. Then subtract your weight from cumulative weight, your child's weight will come. Your child's weight. And this Vanaja says, this will not work here. Ye nahi chalta. This will not work. Doctor says, why? Because he is not my child. Because doctor is telling your child, not my child, it will not work. What does it matter whose child? I am only his auntie, not mother. The weighing machine doesn't see mother holding the child or what. But she thinks like that. Too much obsessed with the things because of lack of clarity inside, there will be no clarity outside. The one who is more oriented towards substratum will have always clarity. The one who is more obsessed with content will have no clarity. That's why we need more clarity. That's why the clarity is very important. So then, very nice answer was given by Hastamalaka. And before we proceed into the other slokas, where the essence of Vedanta is given out, we will look into the invocations of Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji. We had been chanting, yesterday we chanted, today we chanted. Before he begins to write the Bhashya on this Hastamalakiyam, Adi Shankaracharya ji invokes the divine blessings. Those invocations themselves are quintessence of Vedanta. It is an invocation also. It is a very beautiful Vedantic teaching also. Yasmin gnane bhavet sarvam Vijñātam paramatmani Vijñātam paramatmani Tam vande nitya vijñānam Tam vande nitya vijñānam Anandamajamavyayam Anandamajamavyayam. One who is reveling in that divinity, even when he teaches about invocation also, that invocation also will lead us to that divinity, like a Mahavakya. There is a procedure, there is a method, there is a practice, there is a door, everything is opened up. The prayer is not only a mere prayer, but it is a door to divinity. That is how it is. Yasmin gnane bhavet sarvam vijñātam paramatmani tam vande nitya vijñānam anandam ajamavyayam Anandam ajamavyayam. Tam vande. I offer my salutations to that Paramatma. Tam vande nitya vijñānam. I offer my salutations to that Paramatma who is ever knowledgeable, who is ever wise, who is ever intelligent, who is ever knowledgeable. Nitya Vijnanam. Not Gnanam, Visheshena Gnanam, Vijnanam. Nitya, not Anitya. As long as we are in the satsang, we have this Gnanam. Wherever we are in satsang, not only here. The moment satsanga gone, Agnanam covers. That is how it is. But it is Nitya Vijnanam. He is offering salutations to that Paramatma. Tam vande Nitya Vijnanam. He is ever knowledgeable, ever in knowledge. His Swarupa only is knowledge. Chit Swarupam. His nature only is knowledge. Not only that. Tam vande Nitya Vijnanam Anandam Ajamavyayam. He is Anandam, ever blissful. If you offer salutations to a God who is ever blissful, he will smile, he will be cheerful. That is why all gods are smiling always. Look at Parameshwara also smiling. Have you ever seen any Parameshwara frowning? A devotee may frown, a worshipper may frown, but not Parameshwara. Because Anandam Ajamavyayam. He is Anandam. Always Anandam. So if you go and offer salutations to one who is ever in Anandam, Anandam with knowledge. We also will be in Anandam for some time with ignorance. But he is with knowledge. Whenever we are becoming Anandam, it is ignorance based Anandam. Because we don't know about our true self. Temporarily we get some Indriya satisfaction, sense pleasures, and then some temporary praising, and some award, reward, something. That's why we are happy. But this is bound in ignorance. But it is ever in knowledge. Tam vande nitya vijnanam anandam ajamavyayam. We are born, we have so many things. Growth, disease, decay, death, so many things are there. Degeneration. But he is not born. Ajamavyayam. He is ajam, unborn. Time also takes birth only in him. How can he be born in time? He is unborn. Anandam ajam avyayam. He is imperishable. He is always there. We are once in a while there. That is why we are nowhere. Because sometimes we are here, sometimes we are there, finally nowhere. Because we are only temporarily here. He is always there. If we have to salute, offer salutation to someone who is ever present, who is beyond birth and death, who is ever blissful, who is ever in knowledge of his blissful nature. और दूसरे लोगों को respectfully you can offer salutation, but don't expect anything. The moment you expect anything, you are gone. Anybody you salute and expect, you become a politician. Because a politician salutes for what? Vote. Meaning asking something, gaining something, wanting something, desiring something. You can expect only from one person. Because he can give. And he is the only giver. He doesn't want anything. Because he don't need to take anything. He can only give. Who is that? Tam vande nitya vijnanam anandamajamavyayam. If you try to know who is he, naturally we will want to know. अरे क्या बात है इसका? Ever in knowledge, ever in happiness, unborn, imperishable. क्या बात है भाई? ऐसा फ्रेंड है तो कितना अच्छा हमको. Always giver. And he can really protect, he can really take care, he can really help us, assist us. Tam vande nitya vijnanam anandamajamavyayam. So if we try to know him, that's what Adi Shankaracharya said. By knowing whom? Yasmin jnane bhavet sarvam vijnatam paramatmani. By knowing whom, the entire world of seen becomes known. Normally, in order to know something, you need to follow a course material, write exam, get marks, grades, and then so many other practicals, and then they will give one small title that this fellow knows this much. And Gurudev always used to make fun of that. Swamiji, Pujya Swami Chinmayananji. Even if you get a doctorate, that means what? That is a sign of your ignorance. That I know only this, I don't know anything else. Don't think it is a great sign of your knowledge. Swamiji used to say it is a sign of your ignorance, that you are telling what you don't know. That what I don't know is so much, what I know only is this much. But here, by knowing whom, Yasmin jnane bhavet sarvam vijnatam paramatmani. By knowing this Paramatma, by knowing whom, the whole world of seen becomes known. Everything in the world of seen becomes known. Because the substratum for the world of seen is Paramatma. In Chandogya Upanishad, it is said, Ekam vijnanena sarvam vijnana. One is known, all this becomes known. Upanishadic statement. There, in the 6th chapter, 4th section of Chandogya Upanishad, an example of fire, sun, moon and lighting. All four are given. And then, when they go into detailed explanation of the fire, it is said there, a fire, when you keenly observe, is actually nothing but redness, red color, white color and black color put together. In deep analysis, this is what is the truth about fire. Red color, white color, black color put together is fire. And then it is said in the Upanishad, red color belongs to fire, white color belongs to water, black color belongs to earth. All these three colors put together is fire. What we call as fire is not a fire without these three. And the example, another example is immediately given, cited. Just as if you take away threads from the cloth, a cloth is no more existing. A cloth is a cloth only because of threads. A fire is a fire only because of red, white, black colors. Take away the red, white and black colors from the fire, fire is not existing. So like that they give this example, and then it is said, actually speaking, even when we go deeply into these colors also, fire is nothing but an idea in the mind. It is an idea. And it is a word, fire, it is a word. And this idea or word of fire is only a transformation of speech. Fire, Agni, you say. That is only a transformation of speech. Apart from these three colors, all else, whatever we talk about, anything else, that is only a transformation of speech. They mean to say ultimately all things and beings are modification of that existence, the Sat aspect of it. If you know that Sat aspect, you know all modifications. You know everything else what happened. If the existence is known, which is real, everything else will be known. Nothing else will remain unknown. Everything will come to be known. What we have to try to know is that one existence. That Sat we have to know. That is why in Chandogya section 2 it is said, Sadeva somye idamagra asit ekam eva advitiyam. O somye, O good looking one, in the beginning this was existence alone. Only one without a second. Whatever you see now, in the beginning this was only existence. Later on so many things appeared in this existence. In the beginning it was only existence, only one without a second. That is why it is called as Sat. Sat, when we go deeply, it is mere existence, which is very subtle, where there is no distinction, which is without a distinction. Sat means what? Mere existence, which is very subtle, which is without a distinction, and which is all pervasive, which is one, which is taintless, which is partless consciousness. Very deep meaning of Sat. Sat, generally we say it is existence. How, what type of existence is this? Mere existence, which is subtle, which is without distinction, which is all pervasive, which is one, which is taintless, which is partless consciousness. That is Sat. If we know this Sat, everything else in this world becomes known. When we look at the universe, what is there in this universe which is perceived as a modification? It is possessed of name, form and movement. What is the universe? Name, form and movement. And this name, form and movement actually is nothing but the existence alone. If you know the existence, you will know everything. So, Adi Shankaracharya ji offers salutations to that Bhagavan, by knowing whom everything else in this existence becomes known. And if we know everything else in the existence, we become fearless because we are with God, we are with divinity. And then whatever the God is, Nitya Vijnanam Anandam Ajam Avyayam, we will also attain that. Nitya Vijnanam Anandam Ajam Avyayam. From birth and death, we will go into that state which is beyond birth and death. From perishability, we will attain imperishability. From ignorance, we will gain Nitya Jnanam. From sorrow, we will attain Anandam. By knowing whom, we will not only know whatever is there in the existence, whatever is the world of seen, but we will also attain whatever is He. Nitya Vijnanam Anandam Ajam Avyayam. That is the prayer, that is the invocation. Invocation is the essence of Vedanta. Is a practice, spiritual practice. The invocation itself is a spiritual practice. Invocation itself is a beautiful meditative point. It is a meditation, it is a contemplation, it is a spiritual practice. Even in first sloka itself, Adi Shankaracharya lifts us into that highest level through a beautiful practice. And there are two more slokas which we are chanting. We will take up those meanings tomorrow. Even though we are talking about that which is beyond time, we have to follow time. Let us chant this sloka of invocation once and then when we close. Yasmin Gnani Bhavet Sarvam Vijñātam Paramatmani Tam Vande Nitya Vijñānam Anandamajamavyayam Anandamajamavyayam. भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ